Start the day with Orphé. I'm a routine, I get better each day. I conquer my goals, I plan to be great. I plan to be early, you plan to be late. Your bread in the kitchen, my bread in the bank. The secret if you tryna master your fate is start the day with Orphé.
Welcome to Start the Day with Orphé. I am Anthony Orphé, and this is the realest podcast for growth and development.
Unfiltered.
The journey is designed to be a safe space to develop the skills that we need to reach our goals professionally, emotionally, personally.
Tell them.
Spiritually.
Tell them.
We will level up together.
Tell them.
We need something on that. We're going to level up together.
Mm.
I am here with my brother and co-host, Wilber Trivino. Say what's up.
Yo, brother from another mother. Was good.
And again, we are here excited to talk to everyone, to grow with everyone. And today's episode is a continuation of our last episode on manifesting.
Yo, I will say that last episode was dope, man.
Manifesting was amazing, right? Yeah. And it's so much that we could talk about because it's inclusive of so many things.
Right.
It involves so much of our lives that we could talk on forever and ever and ever.
Yeah, shit for days. And if you didn't like it, man, fuck y'all then.
No, that's that's not it, man. I'm sure that if you listened, that there were nuggets you could take from it.
Yeah. I'm just joking. I'm being silly, Will.
And I say it's a continuation because this episode we're going to say goals, right? Because we talked about in manifestation that the first step is to develop goals, right? Mm-hmm. Goals in furtherance of our passion. But do we really understand how to develop goals, right? What is really a goal? Because we all have goals, right? You had said it. We all have goals. I have a goal to go outside today and I go outside, right? But we want to make sure that we're developing specific goals that get us to where we really want to be. Mm. Are we thinking about creating a space, right, an atmosphere for ourselves in which we can reach the really true heights that we want to be in, right? Are we doing the things that are necessary to get there? And so as a major tenet of manifesting, right, the goal creation is very important. It's funny, I had a full circle moment, right? We've talked about mentoring and all of that stuff.
Yep.
And just had a full circle moment, 10 minutes ago? 15 minutes ago with one of my mentees, my little brother, Tafari, right? We're sitting there and we're talking about, well, what do you mean, right? You're just pushing me. What do you mean about goals? What do you mean about goals? And Tafari says, he steps in and he says, hey, he's talking about being specific. Right? Being able to specify what your goals are because that's the only way you're going to get to where you really want to be.
But he said it in such a smooth, smooth, calm, and collected way. Like, yo, my man Tafari he's a smooth operator, man.
And what he said, you could say, oh, my goal is to get a car.
Right.
But he was like, no, in this context, we're talking about my goal is to get a G-Wagon, right? My goal is to get the GL 650 to understand that I want the highest trim. I want to do everything. I want everything all inclusive because now I'm going to take moves to make sure I'm not just getting basic. I'm going to get exactly what I want.
Yeah.
That is why we have to really focus on developing goals.
Right. So when you say develop goal or talk about the term goal, you're really talking about like the unstated specific term that's part of that. Like be as specific as you can be.
Right. Because when we think about goals, we make goals simply for achievement. But that's not really the sole purpose of goals. Really, not even really the most important piece of the goal. The most important piece of the goal, because you do need to achieve something, as, a benefit of doing all this work. But the growth aspect, right, of goal setting, goal getting is really what's important. And what I say that is that, like, setting goals, growth, that's all the journey. We have a goal, my goal is XYZ, right? My goal is to, for example, to have the realest podcast, right? That's our goal. We want the realest podcast for growth and development.
Unfiltered, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that means that we have to do things that are in furtherance of that. We have to talk about real topics. We have to share our real selves.
Right.
We have to do things that are going to allow us to achieve that goal and be specific about it, be intentional about it.
Right.
Right? And I think that's what Tafari was saying. Right? Are we focused on the right things? Right? Can we focus on the things that allow us to not just think about the outcome, but to think about the inputs and to think about what these inputs mean and how we are improving ourselves? And that's where we're going to go with goals.
Got you.
Right?
Let's
I
get
like
it.
that. I like that shit.
Let's get it.
I like it. And so
Got goosebumps and shit.
the first, right? So, I want to break it down, right? Because this one is as an addendum to manifesting is important because I want everybody to be able to like say, hey, this is my plan for manifesting, right? This is the first step in our journey of leveling up. So we have, okay, manifesting, and you write down these things that we need to do for manifesting. And the first piece now we're talking about is goal setting.
Yeah.
So in goal setting, right, we first got to make sure that we are focused on growth rather than simple achievement, right? Focused on growth rather than simply achieving the goal, right? And I gave the allegory about if you want $1 million, you're manifesting $1 million, and the next day you play a number, you win the lottery, you win $1 million. You didn't really, that wasn't the $1 million you manifested. You happened to get lucky and win $1 million, right?
Yeah.
Because you're not creating anything that's going to help you win another $1 million or help you get another $1 million. You were just lucky to win that $1 million.
Or manifest it mad hard. Envision that mad
or
hard.
It's like, oh, I want to manifest a lot of
Like some
tickets.
Professor X shit.
Right. Lottery ticket.
Yeah.
Lottery ticket.
Yeah.
Right. And so
That could be, like whatever.
if we are focused on growth over simple goal achievement, you'll realize that, okay, that was luck. Now I'm going to continue to manifest the actual million that I have been manifesting. That was like a golden nugget that I just found.
Gotcha.
So now I'm going to manifest, and I'm going to think about what goals I need and how I'm going to further myself to get the actual $1 million, right? How am I going to get better? I'm going to grow so that it makes it easy to get there. So that's when we focus on growth over simple goal achievement. And the second piece is that all of the lessons and the skills the habits and the skills that we're mastering, that we use those to evaluate and or take advantage of the opportunities that come our way during our journey, right? And that's super important. The reason why I think that's important, right, is because it allows you to critical think. In your goal journey, setting your goal, there are going to be a ton of opportunities, especially when you're on the right path and you start humming, you really get that. There are opportunities that are going to come your way that are going to help you maybe skip a level, right? Talked about Mario. That's going to help you go from level 1 to level 4. Bloop, 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 right? You're going to be able to get there.
Yo, that was fucking amazing. Like, that was on point.
It's going to help you get there quicker.
Yeah.
But you need to be able to see the opportunity, analyze the opportunity, take advantage of it or not.
Characterize it appropriately.
Right. And go forward.
Yeah.
And then the third piece is to develop the action plan, because now you've got the whole vision in front of you. You've got everything in front of you. You've got the goal, you've got the growth, you've got the habits, you've got potential opportunities. Now you develop the plan and you execute. So now you've done all of these things for a goal. That execution part is the part that gets you to the achievement.
Right.
But everything else that you've developed gets you to the part where you can actually execute, right? That's the part where you've actually grown. You have hard skills. You have the ability to move forward and apply those to almost anything. Without it, you're in the same spot that you were. You just got lucky. That's why it is so important right? So, like, if you think about yourself, right, I want you to tell me, like, think about the last thing that you really wanted to do, that you really wanted to achieve, and, like, how you went about it, right? Because intrinsically, some people just do this and aren't even thinking about it, like, mechanically,
Right.
like I'm putting it down.
Right.
But I say it mechanically because some people really need it.
Right.
I'm one of the people that I need it for, like, I'm a dreamer.
Gotcha.
And I need to be able to filter that dream. And so when I filter my dreams and my visions to a goal and I write them down, I can look at something, check it off and say, okay, I've done that. Now I need to move to the next one. I've mastered that level. I can move to the next one. I've mastered that level. Now I'm going forward.
So you're more mechanical in that sense, that you need that you need to write it down, and you need to have some sort of like checklist structure.
Yeah, I need a
thing.
checklist, a vision board, something like that, right?
Got you. And so what's very interesting is, for me, I don't operate like that.
Right.
I operate completely like go with the flow. Right? Like so to answer your question, let's talk about me having my own law firm.
Right.
Right?
Big up.
Yo,
Business owner.
Yo, can we get that clapping? Can we get that clapping right there?
Business
boom,
owner.
Boom, 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 boom. Thank you very much, Beef. And so, that I was going to be a music producer. That was my goal.
Side story, I remember in law school when you decided to buy an expensive ass Mac computer so that you could make beats.
Yep.
And I was looking at you like, what the fuck are you doing? We about to study for the bar exam. You talking about making beats? And then I was right along with you making some goddamn beats.
On a Friday night, we were just
making beats.
and then,
right?
Yeah.
And
then rhyming on shit.
Well, go ahead.
I remember that. And then Paul got in it too.
Was living our music dreams.
Yo, by the way, I still got that Mac.
So you still got my beats?
Yeah. No. The beats are gone.
What?
Yeah. I sold them for like 5 cents. And so, but in all jokes aside,
yeah,
I was gonna be a producer. That was my goal. First thing, I quit my job. I gave in my month notice. Right, that was the first actionable step. But then Andrea was, she brought, shout out to my wife, she brought the idea, and talk about being open, right? She brought the idea about like, yo, you had this idea back in 2017. You may want to just stick with the law until you get your foot in the door, right? Whatever. Blah, blah, blah. Fast forward, I'm like, all right, what? How am I going to approach this, right? And in my head, I was like, I'm gonna do the same thing I did back in 2015 when everyone was laughing at. Well, not everyone, but some people were laughing at me because I was working out of my home office.
Right.
I didn't really have a brick and mortar, right? And people thought I was just like this, like fly by night type of attorney, but I wasn't. I just didn't fulfill the expectations that people had of lawyers, right? And so I was different, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to implement the same strategy I did back then. Is like, what resources do I need, not want, need in order to run my business effectively? I need computer, right? I did that checklist.
That's right.
Got it. Got the internet. I need Westlaw, whatever, blah, blah, blah. This is going to be my monthly bill.
Right.
Got it. I think I can afford that in terms of like per month, right? And let's get to work.
Yeah, that's it.
Registered, just got all the preliminary stuff.
Right.
And then just every day waking up and getting to work, whether it be researching on preventive law, whether it be like, answering the phone, to get clients or whatever, blah, blah, blah. But just being there, being in that space, developing the idea, because consistently every day, like 9 to 5, right? Yeah. Monday through Friday. I don't work on weekends. And then just again, how I believe is the universe just started putting things in motion. I came across my my good friend's social media content. Right. Shout out to Jessica Figueroa. I'm like, yo, her videos are mad dope. By this time I have a little bit of, discretionary cushion to like spend a little bit on.
Right.
But I now know, now that I have my idea like fully fleshed out.
Yeah.
I was like, I need marketing.
Right.
Because I don't want to do this shit myself. I look at her videos. I was like, yo, her videos are dope. Boom. Hit her up, right? Like, hit her up. Oh, yeah, I work with this company. Shout out to Digitality.
Right. Shout out Digitality.
Get them claps
Shout
in.
out Digitality.
Yo, so she introduces me to Digitality, JC, and all that. And then, boom, we start to work. We negotiate an arrangement that works for both of us. And we get to work on now social media and marketing. And then shit's just been growing.
Right.
And growing. And going with the flow, right? And so it's like, and as I go with the flow, I see I'm very cautious. So I first dip my toe in. If I like it, we going into the deep end type shit, you know? And we gradually go. But I take the information as things are developing and pivot if I have to.
Right.
And be like, nah, scratch that. Have I gotten burned? I've gotten burned for sure. But those lessons have taught me now that shit ain't happening ever again. So now we doing things differently. Now from this point forward, we're doing things differently. And so, but that's how I go about my idea. And so far, 2 years in business, I can't complain. I have a fucking caseload, a full caseload. You know what I'm saying? And so that's how I go about it.
What would you say in that instance, right? Because I heard a lot about growth, right? Strict professional growth, personal growth, right? How to really be a business owner. You started to really think about how to be a business owner. You actually thought about and started to grow in what it was like to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Right? All of these things. What was your initial goal? Right? What was the initial goal when you first started that journey?
My initial goal was, I'm gonna figure out a service that's gonna help people avoid litigation for the time being until I become a music producer.
Right.
That was the initial goal. And life and the universe has changed that plan for me. Where now I see the new goal is I can be a 50 attorney, 100 lawyer attorney, 100 lawyer law firm doing preventive fucking law.
Right.
Multinational law firm national law firm doing preventive law.
Right. And I think you had the goal and you weren't focused on simply just achieving one thing. You weren't just like, I'm going to achieve that.
Right.
Because once you started the journey, you realize that there's all these little mini steps in between that are teaching me something new.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, now I know what I would need to just start my own little firm.
Right.
Now I know that I need to, how much it's going to cost. If I need to start this shit over again, if I needed to start it over again, something just reset, I could do it even faster next time. I've learned all of these things. And that's the important growth. When we focus on how we're growing, the skills we're developing, all of those things, we can then multiply it. We can duplicate it. We can do all these things. We can teach.
Yeah. And so now that you say that, it's crazy that our law school, a student reached out. And he's like, hey, I'm interested in having my own law firm and whatever. And your name was given to me by Amber, right? Who we all graduated together. We went to school together. And I
she
think
gave him your name.
My name.
Interesting.
He's in New York City doing the New York City program, but gave my name. And so it's crazy now that I'm actually even talking to people who are interested in doing their own thing, for me to even be giving that sort of advice, because I feel like I don't have it figured out yet. I'm figuring it out as I go, but I figured out much more than what they have. Right. And so it's all stages at the end of the day.
That's it.
But so like personally, you know, I am no different than any other established law firm.
Right.
The only thing is that you just been in the business for much longer than me. You got more money than me, granted, but with a little bit of time, I'm probably gonna be there. Not probably. I'm gonna be there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's just crazy how much in 2 years I have grown. My business has grown to a point that people are starting to think that it's established. And I not only have been speaking with like students from UB, but other like law schools, you know, like college students.
Right.
Like I did a talk show. Shout out to the law school mentor. They invited me to speak, and you know, like it's crazy that now I'm imparting some sort of knowledge.
Right. And the thing about that is the second part, you took the opportunities that were starting to come to you, the clients that were starting to come to you, and you were able to look at it and say, well, damn, I know I could do this. Like, I know I can be this large law firm. I know that I can do this nationally, right? I know now from all this growth and everything that's happening that I can do this.
Right.
And now you've created the plan
Right.
in furtherance of that goal.
Yeah. Yeah.
So look,
Yeah.
you just said, I said, tell me, you know, about your last goal.
Right.
And you said, well, it was, I'm going to be a music producer.
Right.
Then it was, well, I'm going to do this preventative law until I become a music
Right.
producer. Then it became, oh, I'm going to do this shit nationally.
Right.
And preventative law.
But you know, and so I'm not stopping there, because I'm going to share something with you that I haven't shared before.
Okay.
Is I'm thinking now that I'm a good business person, and I'm not going to stop at just Trivino Law Firm.
Okay.
But I have other ideas, and perhaps I want to own my own record studio at some point.
There we go.
Because I have an idea for that. I'm not gonna say it right now, but I have an idea for that I would like to implement. Using the money I get from Trivino Law Firm, I want to reinvest it into other businesses. And I'm sure we're gonna have ventures together.
There it is.
And I'm already thinking about a clothing line, because my mom was or is in like fashion. She makes clothes. You know that. So I wanted to create a business in honor of her. Right? I'm doing Trivino Law Firm for myself, but like in a sense, it's in honor of my dad, because my dad wanted to be a lawyer, but he just couldn't.
Right.
It didn't pan out for him. But he says he's now the lawyer that I couldn't be.
Right.
So I'm sure he feels very proud that his name is associated with a law firm in New York City.
That's it.
So I want to do something in honor of my mom in terms of fashion, right? And so, and there's other businesses like I want to do, but because I believe that I have a good eye for it, and I have the wherewithal and everything like that. Like Trivino Law Firm is just one thing, but I want to have other different ventures throughout.
You know what? And it sounds like what you've done is really, you're starting to give your all to this, right? You're like, I'm fully invested.
Yeah, I'm fully invested.
And that's the crazy thing, is like we must be obsessive, right, about our goals. Like there's on some level we have to be obsessed with what we're trying to do.
But on that point, I'm fully invested because of because of passion. This is what drives me. This is like, you don't need to motivate me.
Nope.
For like Trivino Law Firm or for any other stuff. This is something that it drives itself type of thing. So that's to your point from previous episode about choosing your passion, right? Choosing things you're passionate about, because the drive will be automatic.
Right. It's easy to be obsessed when you're passionate about it, right? Easy to be obsessed. So, like, you've taken your goals and you're obsessing over it because it's in furtherance of your passion, right? This is all melting together, and you realize without even thinking about it that all of this stuff has started to come together, and you realize that these things you are manifesting. But I don't want to start preaching.
Preach. We need a button for that one.
But I think far too often are we like nonchalant about our goals. It's kind of like, yeah, bro, I want to do this, but if I don't, it's all good, right? Like, I feel like that's what's cool these days, is to be nonchalant. Like, yeah, I'm good, like I'm Gucci, right? This is what I want to do, but I'm Gucci if it don't happen, right? It doesn't define me. Like, if I've heard that, if I had a penny or even a nickel for every time that I've heard, oh, that doesn't define me, because you're trying to separate yourself from a failure instead of learning from it, I'd be rich. We always talk, I hear so many people say, oh yeah, I wanted to do that, but I don't want it to define me, or I won't let it define me. No. If you're obsessed about your passion and your purpose, it will define you.
So you're talking about, in that situation, people who haven't even tried.
No. They try, maybe fail, and they're like, oh, it didn't work out. But I won't even, I won't let that
try
failure.
again.
I won't try again because it doesn't define me. Or
Gotcha.
even if I don't try because it doesn't make me who I am.
Right.
Well, then you're not really chasing your passion, your purpose.
I would agree to that to a certain extent. Because it could be that their passion, but like their subconscious fear of failing again probably is much more overwhelming.
Maybe. Sure. That's
Right.
possible, right? But I'm going to tell you this. If we are genuinely believing that the goals that we are setting are in furtherance of the things that we love, love conquers everything.
Yeah. But I personally believe that there are people out there who is like get out. Like we were just talking about your mom's cookies, right?
Oh boy.
Yeah. Where like you want to do something, but you're stuck. You just can't do it, right? And you're almost like paralyzed. And I think that there are people out there who'd be like, I love this, but they're paralyzed, and they're paralyzed because of fear.
But I also think,
and it's not that they're not chasing, they don't want to chase the love. It's just that you have this other factor that's like overshadowing everything.
Right. But I also think that, like, if you're obsessed, right, if you're obsessive about your goals, that it's very seldom that you let yourself down. You know what I mean? Like, because you're really grinding, right? And you realize that even though I might not have achieved the exact goal, I've learned so much that I know when I'm ready to start this again, that I'm going to start on level 3 instead of level 1, because now I've learned so much and I've mastered some skills.
Right.
And that's what I just want us to understand in that internal mastering, right? How are we going to be fortified internally, mentally, physically, mentally and emotionally? Because we have to understand that no matter what we go through, there's always something to learn, always some way we can grow. And that's what I mean. Like, when we obsess about it, we have to be obsessed. You cannot be nonchalant, because when we do this, we never let ourselves down. You're not going to be let down if you know that I am obsessing, I am doing, I am growing, because you're focused on the right things.
So you're saying that as long as you're focused on the right things, those other feelings should not come into play.
Or will be secondary, right? They will never be primary. And if
Yeah.
it's not primary, they're not going to inhibit you from doing what you want to do first and foremost.
Yeah. I think I'll respectfully disagree with you on that one.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
Right? That's completely okay.
Yeah.
Because there's always, I think, differences in people, right? But I truly believe that if we are to focus on what's important and the right things, then everything else comes out in the wash.
Right. I think for that to happen, you need to have like a great deal of confidence and a strong self-esteem.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Agreed.
And not many people have that.
Agreed. But I think, and also to have a confidence in the right self-esteem, you need to be thinking about the right things.
That was good.
Oh,
I'll give you that.
Get the dab on that. Look, okay, right in the studio, dab. So that's what I'm saying. Look.
No, yeah.
Sometimes it could be a chicken and egg thing.
Yeah, right. That's exactly where
it could be a chicken and egg thing. But let me tell you what I think is different about this type of goal setting and developing than anything else, right? And I think the difference is that you have an actual action plan. We set goals without a real plan about how we're going to get there. We just kind of go along like lemmings, expecting that we'll get to an end. Because you're not focused on the growth. You're simply focused on the achievement. This is different. This is because you have developed a goal and said to yourself, I am going to now develop a plan to execute that goal and habits that are going to get me to the achievement through that. You know what I mean?
And a plan can be just like 2 steps.
Yeah, I'm not talking about shit. You don't got to write a book.
Right,
but you need something in which you could say, check, done. Now
where do I go from here?
I can fuck shit up. Right? That's the whole goal. We want to affect this world in a positive way that we can say, we fucking it up.
And the plan is always changing. Or, no, not always, but can be always changing.
Right.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, we fail to achieve those goals in that instance because we're not being specific enough. Right? We don't know what we want enough to create a plan that is enough to get to where we're going. Right? For example, when you're going on vacation, right, it used to be back in the day that you print out MapQuest.
Yeah.
Right?
MapQuest. Yeah, I remember that.
You had to print it out. Now, what happens when you print out MapQuest and there's a detour?
Right.
Shit. But what you would do is you would be looking at the map and like, oh, if I have to get off here, I can get on at this other place. I can get off at this exit and get on this other highway that's going to then route me around the city and get me to the other place. What's happened is that GPS has allowed us to make mistakes and it autocorrects.
Right.
So now we assume that that's what life is, that life just autocorrects.
Yeah.
But it's not true. That is not how life works. Life works really like MapQuest, right? You need to have proper inputs. I am going from New York City to Washington, D.C. It gives you the steps, right? So the steps now are the plan. The steps now are the goal. I want to get to this highway. Then I want to do the things that are necessary to get to that highway. Then I need to get to that highway to then achieve the goal of getting to Washington, D.C., right? But you have obsessed over over the map. You say, okay, well, I know that if I get lost in this portion, if I get on 81 South, I'll still be able to get there. If you don't take those, if we didn't take those necessary steps back then, we would have been fucking lost. Then you pulling over, asking somebody how to get there, and then you got the McDonald's commercial, left, then another left, right? Because you didn't do what was necessary to make sure that you were going to get to your destination. You did not take those steps.
And you know what's interesting for me? Even like with MapQuest, and if there was a detour, the first thing I would do is, because now I have no idea where to go. If there was a gas station,
right,
I would stop.
Right.
Stop and just ask for directions, because it's like, I'm not even going to try spinning my wheels out here. Ask for directions. I'm trying to get here. They'll look at the MapQuest about, all right, you got to do this, do that, and I would write it down and then go back in the car, get it.
And that is obsessing, right? That is obsessing over the destination that you're trying to get to. And that's what, like, for the younger people in the audience, like, that only know Google Maps,
right,
the phone version,
and Waze,
right, that don't understand that you had to obsess over the paper map to understand where you were going so that you didn't get lost, right? That life is like that. Life does not just autocorrect. Goals and manifesting and plans don't just autocorrect.
Yeah, you have to do the work. You have to do the affirmative movements to get there.
The modifications, yeah.
Right?
And that's the take home. We have to be able to focus on growth. Focus on those right things. When we set a goal, we focus on growth rather than just achieving it.
Yeah.
We're focusing on understanding that if I did not have GPS or if I did not have this map, I could still get to where I'm going. Why? Because I've mastered all of those steps that got me there. Okay? And then we say, we want to use these skills to analyze what's going to happen or what's happening in our purview, right? So now I have an opportunity where now not only am I going from New York City to DC, but now I need to drive from New York City to Myrtle Beach. Oh, well, I know how to get from here to Washington, D.C. without even looking at the GPS or without even looking at the map. Now I can multiply those skills that I just learned to now go further.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And that's how we're analyzing, critically thinking about the opportunities that are ahead of us. How can we use those skills to master those skills to then get further, right? And then we develop a plan to get there.
So if I were to come to you and be like, you know, I'm not happy with my life right now, you know, what advice would you give them? What, like, based on what we've been talking about today, like what's the advice you would give them in terms of how to develop a goal?
I would say first think about what it is that you want to do. Where do you want to go? What do you envision will make you happy? What are you passionate about? If I ask you those things and you say, oh, well, I'm not sure, I'd say before we continue this conversation, I want you to go and think about that.
And what if I say nothing?
If you say nothing?
Nothing. Like, I'm not really passionate about anything.
Okay. I would say first then, well, what do you like to do? Right? We'll go away from passion, which is obsession, and just say, what do you like? Let's try that. What about some avenue that's kind of like off of that? Do you like that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then we'll continue until you actually fall on something and click on something and be like, I love that. I want to do more of it. And then we'll go from there, right? It's all a building process.
Yeah.
It is all a building process.
No, that's dope.
You know what I mean?
And I couldn't agree with you more.
So
that for people who answer that in that manner, that's my go-to. Well, what do you like?
What do you like?
Oh, I like to eat pizza. Okay.
All right.
And what else? And so out of all these things, like, what are the things that you would like to do for the rest of your life? Or even a question I ask is, what are the things that you can do or that you would do for no pay that you just get so much enjoyment out of?
Right. Agree.
Well, I love to travel. Well, maybe you could be a travel blogger.
Whoa! Now you didn't even think about that. You're like,
is.
oh wait, they pay people. Yes.
Yeah. You know. So, but like, yeah, like, that's my approach, right?
Right.
Is what do you like love to do and get no pay?
Right.
And then we build from there.
Build from there. Yeah. Let's go.
Yeah.
Man, I like that. You know, I like that. And again, it is focusing on your growth over simple goal achievement. Right? It is using those lessons to analyze the opportunities that are in front of you, or take advantage of the opportunities.
Yeah.
And then it is developing an action plan to execute.
Those are the takeaways. Ooh,
That's
yo.
it.
If you ain't learning, it's because you ain't listening.
Woo. You ain't learning, you ain't listening. You ain't learning, you ain't listening.
You know?
But
that's dope. Takeaways.
This was great, man. I appreciate you today.
Yeah, man. Of course, you got it. You know the deal. So that's it. We're done.
That's it, man.
We're done with this, and we'll keep it short and sweet.
We're gonna keep it short and sweet.
Got you.
So I'll say this.
So let's wrap up.
We love you. Let's get the day started.